Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Please don't be shy. Please do come forward if you're at the back of the room and occupy these tables at the front. We've got some interactive games to play later as well, you'll be pleased to know. This is our final session of the day, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be right up there with our best sessions of the day as well, because this is where we begin to delve into the world of artificial intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our panel for our session entitled AI and Innovation for Better Customer Journeys. Please give them a big post-coffee break round of applause. Welcome them one by one. Global Head of Digital Solutions at KPMG Malta, Keith Cortis, ladies and gentlemen. Keith, come and take a seat. Head of Player Tools at Games Global, Ryan Sammut. The Chief... Yeah, come on, we can do better than that now. We've got to that part of the afternoon. That's more like it. I didn't realize I'd be playing game show host by Harper's 3. The Chief Legal Officer at Credit's, expert in open banking, data, financial profiling, and affordability-linked risk detection for regulated industries. I hope that's not all on his business card. Richard Wachtmeister. And the Senior Advisor to the Responsible Gambling Council and Advisor to the UK Gambling Commission on Tech Governance, Simo Dragicevic. I think I got it in the end, Simo. Was that near enough? That was near enough. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to talk about AI, innovation for better customer journeys. We've heard AI touched upon by just about every speaker today, but we haven't really kind of dived a little bit deeper into it. Reshaping customer engagement everywhere, from retail to streaming. But obviously in gambling, every innovation comes with opportunity and, as we've heard, with obligation. So let's try and unpack what AI can do for players and what we've got to watch out for. Simo, if I can start with you. What are the biggest opportunities for AI to improve player experience? Let's start with a good positive message.
Okay, I mean, there are tons on the product and the marketing side. We won't go into that, but I guess from a customer safety, are you talking more from a customer safety perspective?
Well, I think we can break it up, can't we, into opportunity for a greater product in terms of satisfaction and indeed what it can do for customer safety. I suppose they're two separate things, aren't they?
Okay, so if you look at some of the innovations that AI is offering, it's pretty phenomenal. If you just take sports betting, for example, you know, the ability to, and this is my personal views, I think sort of the innovations in sports betting have made watching sports more fun, you know, and more entertaining. So you can place, you know, bets across, you know, I think the typical tennis match will have, you know, 1,500 betting opportunities. And we can argue the pros and cons of that. But the ability to get the statistics and data, automate the bet slip generation, get content that's interesting for you, the players that you follow, all that sort of personalized on your phone or your laptop, I think offers a rich experience and an engaging experience. And, you know, we saw the data from, you know, Jonathan Park earlier. You know, young people want immersive experiences. The games they're interested in are slots, in-play sports betting, live casino, and game shows. So it's no coincidence that this at-risk generation also are more sort of in tune with probably the more engaging products. So I think there are a ton of really good innovations, and the industry has a real opportunity to keep building this entertainment product and attracting players. So that's probably on the positive side. So.
And how about in terms of opportunity for safety, to keep people safe without restricting their sense of freedom?
Yeah, I mean, the presentation earlier was really interesting by Mary Aiken, and she talked a lot about this. And something interesting, actually, that Sam Altman said I heard the other day, and, you know, Sam Altman he's a controversial character. He's the CEO of OpenAI, and he was talking about how people use ChatGPT. And he was saying the older generation tend to sort of use it as a Google search replacement to get information, whereas the younger generation are using it as an operating system. So it's pretty much embedded on a day-to-day basis, and it's helping them make decisions, and they're relying on it. And when you sort of couple this digitally native kind of generation that have AI as an operating system in their daily lives with all of the highly engaging games that are being developed, you then get this risk. And that's where using it for good, using it to detect risk, etc., also offers an opportunity to moderate play and to detect risky play. So.
Okay, so perhaps I can take this down the panel. I mean, Ryan, where do you see the biggest opportunities?
Sure, I think it's also important to mention the internal efficiencies which it can do, right? And directly we're talking about customer experiences. So if we can do a better, faster, and higher quality job using AI in our development, in our testing, in our security, prototyping as well, I think indirectly it means we can get more features out to our customers at a faster pace. If we talk from a sustainability point of view, AI is excellent at parsing huge amounts of data really fast and really well. So things like responsible gaming systems, triggering certain flags based on certain patterns. We talked a lot about those patterns, what they are, the different cohorts of customers. AI is great at learning to detect certain problematic patterns, and we can certainly use AI to help us in that regard as well. Not to mention the obvious personalization on what we can do in the casino lobbies and everything else in that regard.
And how then does the industry insulate against the charge that it's misappropriating that? How does the sector retain trust when it starts to really kind of drive an AI policy to attempt to make life better for customers or to make its offering more appealing? How does it retain customer trust?
For example, if we look at AI in the medical field, let's say we know AI is better and faster to, for example, detect skin cancer in patients, right?
Yeah.
Than an actual doctor. But it does not replace the doctor in having to have a last say, having to review the information that the AI gives us. So how I see it is, it's there to help us. We're not yet ready for it to be fully autonomous, fully to make all its own decisions. So it's a tool to help us, but not having and removing the human aspect of it, you know? So having a call with a problematic gambler, that should not be replaced with AI. AI is there to help detect a problematic gambler, but not have the conversation with that person.
Keith, you're nodding away. I'm sensing you're broadly in agreement.
I have a lot to say about this topic. So I think to continue on what Simo and even Ryan mentioned, a key component here on what constitutes trust in AI is the governance around it. And when I say governance, it's not the typical GRC, the governance risk and kind of aspect where it's just a policy. So governance goes much beyond having the right policies and procedures in place. Don't get me wrong. They're important to have them, and it's important to define the policies on what you can do, what you cannot do, how to maybe use the system correctly and whatnot. But the governance aspect goes from aligning to your organizational strategy. It's crucial not to deviate from it. To define a set of ethical AI principles that any AI system, either if you're basically using a third-party software or you're building one from scratch, it doesn't matter. Certain ethical AI principles need to be in place, like the sustainability aspect, the data integrity aspect, and you can go the transparency, the fairness, security, and so on. Then it's all about, and this is very important, ensuring that any AI system you have in place is reliable. And when I say reliable, it means that if a system is producing really good quality outputs, it means that you need to keep monitoring the system. Of course, there's an autonomous part where you monitor it, and then it flags when there's a deviation from basically the norms. And then this is where the human, what we call the human in the loop, as Ryan correctly mentioned, needs to intervene, because that's where we need either to basically fine-tune the AI system or retrain the system to ensure that everything is in place. Training of people, and it keeps going.
But this is what you were saying, Simo, isn't it? It's a new generation, people who understand how to use AI intuitively, work with it and take it in stages. So AI gets you this far, and then you prompt it. It's a bit like one of those books we had when we were kids. If you want this, go to page 49. If you want that, go to page 54. Otherwise, it'll automatically go to page 49, and you might want it to go to page 54. So you've got to have the capacity to be able to just take it 5 degrees off where you want to take it, right?
Yeah.
If you want to make it work for you.
I mean, the point around the transparency of the systems is really important. And, you know, we were talking about this earlier. We have this thing called the EU AI Act. And whilst it doesn't necessarily reference the gambling industry, some of the descriptions of the types of AI, prohibited AI, high-risk AI, will apply to some use cases in the gambling industry. And, you know, for example, you know, there was a headline in the trade press the other week where the Gambling Commission in Great Britain called out the fact that during some of its recent audits, a lot of the operators couldn't explain how their anti-money laundering algorithms worked, third-party ones, and they were also configured incorrectly. So this goes to your point that the optics are going to be really focused on ensuring that these systems work and do well and do what they're supposed to do. And I have some other things, but I see Richard's nodding as well.
I was going to say, this is right in your wheelhouse, Richard. I mean, you're an expert on this. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you are. I was going to say, is there ever any excuse not to understand how your anti-money laundering algorithms work?
No, actually, and I, just before that, just to, of course, echo everything that's been said here, but also I think AI, it also boils down to if you can explain what you're doing, and I think this is also leaning into your question here, and it also starts with the quality of your data that you're building your systems on. If you're developing or if you're using external AI, is that if you can replicate and explain what you're doing something right, because then you can explain that to your customer, and that will build trust.
Yeah.
As soon as you start to have an issue with explaining it, you're starting to be on that slippery slope, and then you have the trust with the end user, the player in this case. So, and just also to feed in also to the first question, I think that there's so many various types of AI, and I think also that the agentic AI will be able to do a lot of things that could also for customer service purposes. But I think in terms of the challenges and the pain points we were talking about here today, I think the onboarding and new acquisition experience is something that AI can really help with. And then you need to really be focusing on what sort of quality of data you have when you build those processes, build on AI. Personally, we work a lot with open banking data, which is sort of a non-disputable financial data, which means that you can always build on that, and you can demonstrate that for your client, and they will also understand, like, well, this is your transactional history, so you can always demonstrate that, and that it becomes trustworthy instead of it being a black box. And if you can't describe the black box, nobody wants to interact with a black box where you don't know what's coming out of it.
What transparency standards should exist within this sector then?
That you should be able to explain on a very high level. It's not about sharing your trade secrets about how you're doing stuff, but you should be able to explain for your customer like how the system has been deployed or used, and how their data is being treated within that system, and what sort of outcomes that comes out of it. And the client might ask for human intervention, and then you should come to the same conclusion if the system is working right, that is.
Okay, and you were making a point, Ryan, earlier on about the medical industry.
Yeah.
Do you have other lessons you feel that this sector could learn from health tech or social media, big tech, or fintech in terms of algorithmic accountability?
Sure. I mean, if we look at streaming, fintech, and other things, social media, for example, if we just look at something simple following on this example from Richard, if we look at Netflix, for example, right? It doesn't share the trade secret or the algorithm behind how it's working, but it would try to simplify it like because you've watched, because you've liked, because you favorited. So there's certainly, it's very important that we share in a high level why they're seeing this promotion, because they've played this game before. In terms of looking at other industries, for example, in the finance industry, where AI is being used, for example, to check for fraudulent payments, something interesting to pick up from there is how heavily audited and traceable the decision-making process is there. So same way for us in gambling. You know, if someone was shown a promotion or someone was flagged as problematic gambler, do we have the right measures in place to be able to tell a regulator this is why this person has been flagged or has not been flagged?
Go on.
In fact, if I may, this is a very important point because I know that we're seeing a lot of basically advancement in AI, generative AI, now agentic AI. However, it's important to mention that AI has been with us for over 70 years. These systems that Ryan mentioned have basically used what it's called traditional AI, machine learning, and basically techniques, where basically if you use these techniques, most of them are explainable. So from input to output, you can basically understand what happened in between. And that's very important for regulators or during an audit to understand why you reached a decision. And I'm mentioning this is because I know earlier in the really nice presentation by Professor Aiken, there was a big focus on agentic AI. Personally, I think even though agentic AI is here to stay and it will make a lot of advancements, there's nothing new per se to the advancements that there were with traditional AI and generative AI. What's on top now is that there is the ability to integrate different systems together with some element of reasoning. For example, there is a human handoff where Ryan needs to take a decision before basically the process keeps going. But it doesn't mean that we're going to go in a direction where everything goes haywire and everything's autonomous, especially with regulation in the EU, where you cannot do certain automated decision making.
Yeah,
that stems back even from GDPR. So.
And I took Dr. Aiken's point about agentic AI really to be applicable to the generation that is about to become our next generation of consumers in this sector who aren't there yet, and how that might help them not naturally trip into a space of gambling-related harm before we as a sector can do anything about it. What credibility did you give to the use of agentic AI as set out earlier, Simo?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. So one of the things I did, way back in 2009, 2010, I founded a company that used machine learning and data to predict gambling-related harm. So this technology has been around for quite a while. FDJ were using, or probably still using, a system even before that. So this isn't anything new, and if I was to critique the industry, I'd feel like there's been too much adoption of old technology and not enough focus on sort of agentic AI, generative AI, and what the art of the possible is. If you look at the development of that part of AI, it's on a hockey stick trajectory. What the industry is doing, and it talks about it a lot, is saying, we use AI to detect and predict, but it hasn't moved the goalposts. And there's a really good example. If you look at Spain, I don't know the details, but the regulator feels compelled to enforce every operator to use its own algorithm because it doesn't have trust in what the operators have been doing for the last few years. Right. And this comes down to transparency, do these systems work, metrics. So there's a bit of a catch-up the industry's got, but I do feel agentic AI, generative AI has huge potential in this space, but I've only seen real pockets of investment, so there's a call to the industry to do more, I think, in this space.
And more money needs to be spent. I mean, funnily enough, that's something that almost hasn't been said at all today, is it? I mean, we've talked so much about so much, but at no point has anyone said, well, actually, we're going to have to invest in this if it's going to even touch the sides when you think about the cyber environment that we're in.
Absolutely, and I think also everybody will reach a strategic inflection point. It's like, I don't think everybody should develop their own AI just because, I mean, it might be tempting, but I think all industry players need to understand that you will be competing on a global market for something that might be a commodity, the thing that you're building. It's just about how you apply it, and I would really focus on getting your own mix, which will create your own secret sauce, because you have the AI providers providing off-the-shelf services, and then you will combine that with your internal information and your knowledge about your customers and what you want to achieve. And I think that's where you will get the best products or the best outcome, and then you can really target what you want to achieve based on that.
We might take a few questions in a moment. We've got an open session on this as well. I just want to just tie this up by asking you, on a strictly positive level, what excites you the most about the possibilities for the next, say, 4 or 5 years with AI?
If you ask me, the availability of data. So earlier you saw the wonderful study that basically FDJ United went through, and the amount of data points that were used. So I think if data is used correctly to enforce, for example, RG at a personalized level, you know, in the study there were the risk factors and the risk indicators which were output per product. You can really personalize something per product using the data available. Of course, you need to be aware, you need to have the right governance, and data in place is important, because if the data is not good, garbage in, garbage out. So that's just to rely on what Professor Reike mentioned. She mentioned Norman, the psychopathic AI. The full story, though, because this might really scare people off. MIT were behind this, and they did this as an experiment, right? They wanted to see if machine learning models were able to identify that a lot of images which were scraped off the dark web from Reddit, basically if the machine learning models can realize that. They cannot. They don't have any reasoning. Although with the generative AI advancement we're going there, they did something similar in parallel, where they used positive, non-psychopathic images of people, birds, and cats, if I'm not mistaken, and the result was positive. So that's why the data is crucial, and how the data is used. So that gives me confidence personally.
So you're only as good
as the data.
Well, I should rephrase that, shouldn't I? Your potential is only as great as the quality of your data.
That's exactly it. The data quality is crucial. The accuracy of it, the completeness, timeliness, there are a lot of...
And then your potential,
non-bias.
Non-bias, exactly.
But then, of course, your potential becomes limitless, or at least...
If you have the right guardrails in place, it doesn't become limitless.
Okay.
No.
Yes. Would you like to just put your
Sure,
last...
yes. So I agree with Keith. From a
word on this,
personalization point of view, I think that's where we should expect amazing stuff from AI. Just to get you thinking, I think today, if you go on most casinos, you will find things like game recommendation systems and, you know, giving the right games to the right players based on different stuff. But I think where we could evolve this much more is, what if the entire lobby could be more dynamic based on the player's preferences? If you only play crash games, don't see the generic type of lobbies with, you know, the standard type of ordering of games. How do we make this more dynamic? Maybe a bit more of a futuristic note. Who knows whether it's on the game provider side or on the player-facing side. I imagine us being in a world where, let's say, the same way how you would use ChatGPT to generate an image, what if you could give the AI a theme? Say, I want a 5-reel slot game, Asian-themed with penguins, and the player can see exactly what they want within a short period of time. Maybe that's something we'll get to.
Richard.
Very good points here. I'm positive by nature, and I really hope that all of the sort of the challenge with channelization that's been discussed during the day here can be addressed. And I hope that the combination of new AI models, new products will make the experience smooth and seamless, but also when you get even more AI into the browsers, you will also get like information about the websites that you browse and stuff like that, and maybe that will also be a part of the solution where we will be educated in everything we do by AI. So the sort of like the negligent or naive customer won't exist anymore. They will get the information that they need, and then we will probably, hopefully, solve this.
Simo?
Yeah, I'm a half glass full guy as well. So it's interesting with megatrends, tech megatrends, people tend to overestimate the impact in the short term or underestimate its impact in the long term. And I think if you could imagine a future where you have detection algorithms that are openly benchmarked, you can see how well they perform and you can improve them. If you have, we're talking about Zoomers, Generation Z today, the people who are digitally native, who do everything online, everything on chat. Imagine having large language models that can handle all forms of communication, all the sensitive edge cases. They've been trained with clinicians. Imagine if they can read what's coming out of the detection engine. Imagine if that agentic AI can change the customer experience if what they're saying or what they're reading in the algorithms, less marketing, different experience. I can see a future like that, but I feel it's not going to happen in 2 years, but think 5, 10 years it's possible, yeah.
Thank you all very much. Ryan Sammut, Keith Cortis, Richard Wachtmeister and Simo Dragicevic, thank you all very much. Does anybody, we've got maybe time for 1 or 2 questions here, and then we've got something for you guys to do and participate. So yeah, we got a question here on table 13. You've got a microphone right here. We can now.
Wonderful. I'm just curious if you see any potential for AI in identifying and faster reacting to black market sites and offers?
Interesting. AI in identifying reaction to black market promotion and offers. Does anyone want to take that?
I mean, actually looking at people and scanning people as they're on a device, or just detecting the sites themselves.
Do you mean detecting people's likelihood of being susceptible to going to the black market?
No, early in one of the presentations, somebody said that a good approach would be, a first step approach would be identifying all the black market operators so that we can
yes.
So actually,
So I'm wondering if we could utilize AI for that.
There's a lot of data analysis and sourcing of data on the internet and sorting it, and it's not really AI. It's actually not overly complicated. It's just that there's a lot of places to trawl and pull that data in. And actually regulators are doing that. Like the Gambling Commission in the UK will have a monthly refresh list of black market sites. I think where the issue is maybe not so much what's on the internet, but what's in Telegram, it was mentioned earlier, what's in WhatsApp, what's happening where you can't actually easily track it. So 100%, data and technology, and possibly AI as well, it definitely has a role to play there. Yeah.
Would anyone like to add on that?
Yeah, especially in the earlier study, we saw that there are some data points like identifying if there's a VPN involved and so on. So these data points, yes, can help in potentially training a model that can find similar occurrences. And then you can go to the other extremes that depending on certain behavioral patterns, you can find other new ones which might not be obvious. It's not a simple task though.
Maybe one more and then we've been told all day that game shows are the things you like playing best, so I'm gonna live up to the... Any more questions? No? Okay, well please thank our panel once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
you.